Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us here on the 10 Weather Impact Show. I'm meteorologist Aaron White, alongside meteorologist Justin Gehrts. Welcome to the 10 Weather team.
Good to be here.
Let's kind of talk about the forecast a little bit. It's been interesting to see how things are going to be playing out here the next couple of days.
Yeah, I could be over and done with the overnight storms just because. I mean, who even likes that?
Yeah, I know, right?
Hearing rain at night is nice for sleeping, but the thunder is just like, come on.
Yeah, and especially with the potential for some severe weather. Yeah. And you're actually, you've been here in Columbus for a little while, but you lived in Iowa as well.
Yes, worked in Iowa for a little over 10 years, actually, at one of the TV stations in eastern Iowa. Moved out here almost 5 years ago already, so have become familiar with central Ohio and it's interesting weather, just as interesting as any other place, I suppose.
Right, yeah.
And it's funny because, you had worked in Iowa or near Iowa for a while, and you were familiar with the snow and whatnot.
Of course, I can't forget that.
And Fargo as well. So coming out here, it's like, not as much snow, and then we had the big snowstorm. Back earlier in the winter.
We don't want to talk about that anymore.
No,
right?
we don't. No, and it's nice that there is the warmer weather coming.
Sure.
Tomorrow's going to be a warmer day, and that'll help fuel, I suppose, some of the storm chances coming up tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, we got that storm potential. We've seen actually that severe weather threat kind of expanding a little bit now, just in the last hour or so, a new update with that. So if you want to dive into the forecast, we'll continue on.
Yeah, absolutely, as we do have still the timing for us looking for Thursday night for that main severe weather threat here coming up. We're going to be watching for that potential for some strong to perhaps severe thunderstorms. Now, what you need to do between now and then, just stay aware. There's nothing for you to do right now. We will keep updating the forecast here on 10TV and 10TV.com and let you know everything that we're thinking. Now, Aaron mentioned there was an update to that severe weather outlook. Here's what it is. There is in now northwest Ohio, stretching back off toward the west, that level 3 risk of severe weather. Notice right in the middle of the scale there. Looks like some more active thunderstorms, primarily for a greater likelihood of hail and wind that direction. We're also still looking for a wind and hail threat here in central Ohio. And as these storms keep drawing off toward the south and east, those odds diminish gradually. So our southern towns, somewhat lower threat than our northwestern towns. Again, this is for coming up later Thursday evening and especially the overnight hours. Now, we can't say that there's a zero chance of tornadoes. There could be a brief spin up, mainly again to the north and west. However, as we watch those storms roll off toward the south and east, still watching for wind and hail primarily. There's still going to be plenty of cold air aloft, just like what we had Sunday night. There's also a lot of wind not too far above our heads, and anytime a thunderstorm can kind of tap into that, it'll mix down to the ground, so I wouldn't be surprised if we had some wind gusts over 50 miles an hour coming up tomorrow night. In addition, there's going to be some places that get repeated rounds of those thunderstorms to come on through, so we're going to have that medium chance of some localized flooding, talking mainly the typical trouble spots where you have the ponding on the streets and roads, some of the ditches that fill up, things like that. Not anything widespread, but it is something we're going to keep an eye on for you. As far as that storm energy forecast, I'm going to go ahead here till Thursday evening. There's still nothing here happening locally, but there is going to be some energy in place for those thunderstorms. You'll notice it cuts off to the north as we get into the overnight hours. That's as those storms come in here and kind of, eat up that energy. That's really their fuel source. So as they dive into it, they'll start to make that go away. And as we go into the early morning hours, there's no storm energy left. So we are watching again mainly the first part of the night for that best chance of seeing those strong to severe storms. As far as the rainfall goes, this is going to be a soaker for a lot of us. I would say central and northern parts of our area, let's say along and north of 70, very likely to see perhaps an inch of rain. Some localized spots may see an inch and a half, and that's where we could see some of those, again, typical trouble spots have some ponding where we have those inch and a half total. So we'll be watching for that as the night goes on. And I would say as we go through tomorrow night, we'll transition gradually from seeing the wind and hail to mainly heavy rain coming on through. Here's that hour-by-hour forecast. Today is quiet. We just have filtered sunshine. It's going to be a real nice one for us. Breezes may pick up a little bit, but it's not going to be especially gusty. Here's 6 o'clock this evening. Fire up the grill. It's going to be good weather for that. Weather is going to be just fine. Now, we're going to be watching those clouds thicken during the overnight hours, and there are going to be some areas of rain tomorrow morning. I don't foresee thunderstorms necessarily with this. There could be some showers for the morning drive, but I would say the farther south you are, the better your chances of that morning rain. Farther north, less so. That gets out of here at a decent time, probably mid-morning or so. Late morning, afternoon, dry. We'll see some peaks of sunshine periodically. going ahead toward early tomorrow night. Here's 10 p.m. We start to see some signs in our far northern towns of maybe some development, but it looks like it's going to be mainly to the north yet at that point. Things really get going probably after 10 o'clock. Here's midnight. Again, north of 70, some rambunctious thunderstorms coming on through. This is where our best chance of seeing some of the severe weather could be. We're going to keep going through the night. Here's 3 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning. There you see right along 70 and points just off to the south. Those thunderstorms keep on coming through. 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe still some leftover thunder, but mainly just rain at this point, and it should be largely out of here for much of the morning commute on Friday. You see a little bit of pink here. There's the off chance that we may get enough cold air in here just in time to maybe produce a wet snowflake in our northern towns, but if that happens, it'll be fleeting, more of a nuisance than anything else. Here's Friday evening. Things are clearing out by that point. Once we get past this system, we're actually quiet for a couple of days. No rain chance for the weekend. We'll have a lot of sunshine. Then early next week, a few rain chances move back into the area. Right now, we just have filtered sunshine. There are those mid to high level clouds coming on through. Looking pretty good overall. In fact, you can see that here on our camera. As you see, the filtered sunshine, a little gray, but there's still some sun. Right, 59 right now. Winds are coming from the south-southwest at 13 miles an hour, so they have picked up a bit over the past several hours, and they'll be a little breezy from time to time. Area-wide, either side of 60 is pretty common. 60 in Marion, again 59 Columbus, 60 in Lancaster, down to up to 62 right now in Athens. Off to the south and west, you see the warmer temperatures. That's what's coming our way for tomorrow as we see readings around 76. Big drop coming up on Friday with 45. So 65 for today. It's going to be a real nice one with sunset just about 10 minutes before 8 o'clock. 76 for tomorrow. Those areas of rain get out of here early on Friday with high only around 45 degrees. Probably seeing a hard freeze once again as we go into Saturday morning. 26 is your low there. Sunshine Saturday and Sunday, 50 on Saturday, 60 Sunday. I mean, Saturday's a little coolish, but yeah, with sunshine,
it's not bad.
No, late March sunshine is really strong. So while that 50 may be like, oh, it's so cool, it's going to feel really nice, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, well, especially starting off at 26 in the morning and getting up to 50 by the afternoon, that's not bad. I mean, we could be stuck in the 40s like we are on Friday, so right. 50's good, 60's better, so a decent weekend, especially with the sunshine.
Yeah, and there is that big drop Thursday into Friday, but not quite as obnoxious as we had Sunday into Monday. That was just...
Yeah, that was something like really 50 degrees, so going from the mid-80s to the mid-30s by the morning, so on Monday. So
yeah, our second largest drop within a 12-hour period on record in Columbus. I think those records go back to like 1945 or something. Yeah. So it was...
yeah, don't need that again.
No.
But we'll be tracking the storms as we head into Thursday, but also keeping an eye on things that are also happening across the country. So turning from our rain and our forecast to wildfire evacuations taking place out west. This is out of New Mexico. Evacuation orders are in effect as firefighters continue to battle this fire just south of Albuquerque.
And those first responders there say the unified fire is what it's called, have led to a highway closure, evacuation. Hundreds of homes are without power. Also falling ash being reported in some areas. Now, as of this morning, the fire spans approximately 500 acres, 0% contained.
Yeah, that's not the only fire burning out west this week. Here's video from Colorado where a wildfire burning in Fremont and El Paso counties in Colorado has grown to nearly 4,600 acres with no containment. As of Sunday, officials expressed optimism. A shift in winds could help fire crews gain an upper hand on the blaze, which erupted actually last Wednesday.
Yeah, and most of the fire was reportedly on the grounds of the U.S. Army post at Fort Carson. Crews were attacking the 24 fire from the air and ground amid record-breaking heat conditions. Yeah, they were dealing with extreme stuff out west just the other day.
Yeah, that's actually just right around the Colorado Springs area. So just some pretty wild stuff here recently. And speaking of some actually record heat, it's not just here in the U.S., but...
The planet is on a historic heat streak, with the UN Weather Agency warning the world just witnessed the hottest decade ever.
Between 2015 and 2025, we experienced the hottest 11 years on record.
Climate scientists say it's not just about numbers. Record-breaking heat keeps melting glaciers, warming oceans, and causing more extreme weather.
When history repeats itself 11 times, it is no longer a coincidence. It's a call to act.
Experts say rising greenhouse gases are causing the planet to take on heat faster than it can release it, and the trend isn't reversing.
This is global warming.
This month's historic heat wave in the U.S. has already smashed monthly records in more than 160 cities from the west to the southeast.
That plays out in a lot of how we live our lives, what we're doing outside, at what point, what that means for workers. Do we have cooling centers even activated and open in time in the right ways?
Climate officials warn our reliance on fossil fuels is harming the climate and threatening lives.
The state of the global climate is in a state of emergency.
They're calling for a quick switch to renewable energy to protect the planet and its people. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
And now to some news from our environment. It's not just the heat impacting agriculture around the globe. Farmers across the country are feeling the strain from the war in Iran. And financial experts say the skyrocketing costs and availability of fertilizer, which is largely controlled by just a few companies, are the most current issues.
Yeah, some farmers are now foregoing fertilizer and putting off equipment repairs or upgrades just to make ends meet.
I'd say it's safe to say that my fertilizer company is making more money per acre than I am off of the corn I raise. And I'm not even sure I'll be making money on corn this year.
Yeah, those farmers say short-term fixes have long-term consequences.
And one thing that can't be put off for a farmer is maintaining healthy soil to grow healthy crops. However, keeping soil healthy isn't always easy, especially during drought and changing weather.
Now a new AI-powered project at Colorado State University aims to make the work farmers do easier. They're using artificial intelligence to better understand the soil's health.
Data from satellites. We're going to be bringing in data from in situ sensors.
What's really cool about CSU working on developing, an AI for agriculture is because we are in some of the most extreme environments to farm in.
The nearly $1 million project is funded by the Department of Agriculture.
And one thing definitely won't help farmers is another record heat wave.
No.
That's what is actually on tap through, though, as more temperatures records could actually fall this week. And forecasters say, meteorologists across the country are saying that most of the continental U.S. will be hotter than usual. They say certain areas could actually see 20 to 40 degrees above normal temperatures. Some western communities face low water supplies and risk of wildfires. So a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
We were even seeing the 20-degree temperature change as we head into tomorrow.
For sure. It's pretty widespread. And of course, the record heat is leading to a lot of concern, not just for crops in the fields, but also for the workers who have to harvest and take care of them. Karina Bazzarti reports from Yuma, Arizona with that story.
The hot spring is tough on anybody that works outdoors. One nonprofit organization from Arizona is using that heat wave to grab the attention of state leaders. Last week, Arizona reached the triple digits for the first time this year, with Yuma becoming one of the hottest places in the country. And that's a challenge for people here who work in the fields.
Where these farm workers in Yuma are hiding behind tires to get shade during their breaks because they're not allowed any tents.
Jasmine Moreno is with the organization Agave Community Threads. She and other volunteers organized an emergency phone bank last Thursday, making more than 100 calls to Arizona leaders, including the governor and people on the state industrial commission.
So we have been in a very, very long battle with our state legislator here and the Industrial Commission of Arizona and the governor's office here to demand an enforceable heat protection standard that is going to protect all outdoor workers and indoor workers subject to extreme heat.
Moreno also held listening sessions here in Yuma, where farm workers have talked about the tough working conditions, including the lack of water breaks in the fields.
There's stories of individuals who have to walk 30 minutes to be granted a cone of water and are only being granted 2 cones of water a day.
This is not the first time advocates for workers have tried to push for workplace heat standards. Earlier this month, members of the Arizona Division of Occupational Safety and Health Advisory Committee failed to enact a heat plan.
And they're also saying that because Arizona is so unique, the policy will have to include certain thresholds that after certain temperatures, increased protections will have to take place. And
according to the National Council of Occupational Safety and Health, farm workers are 35 times more likely to die from workplace heat exposure than other workers in the U.S. and suffer elevated rates of health-related illnesses, injury, and long-term damage to their health. One local advocacy group has already reported 1 death in the fields. Moreno says they're still waiting to hear back from state leaders. Reporting in Yuma, Karina Basarte for Arizona's Family.
And finally today, we're going to check out some new video into us here at 10 TV. A massive avalanche was actually caught on video and is closing roads up in Alaska. Thane Road remains closed as the avalanche gates due to emergency closure triggered by rapidly increasing ridgetop winds. These winds actually increased significantly earlier than forecasted and actually led to fears of avalanches and actually causing some concerns out there.
Yeah, no, that's really something, and it's pretty crazy to watch that. Those strong ridgetop winds are rapidly transporting that new snow, which increases the likelihood of a natural avalanche reaching the roadway. Now, because these winds are forecast to increase throughout the day, the road has to stay closed for the safety of the traveling public. And if a natural avalanche occurs and debris reaches the roadway, then an extended closure could be necessary to safely actually get all that debris out once the weather conditions even allow for that safe mitigation.
Yeah, some wild stuff happening up there. And, from winter to spring, which we're all ready for. Oh, yeah. Each year in the region in northern Greece actually celebrates the arrival of spring beneath a spectacular blanket of pink peach tree blossoms. Look at that. Nice and cheery, right?
I thought it was all about the cherry trees, but apparently peach trees do this too.
There you go, covered in pink. The blossoming peach trees create a spectacular sight that attracts visitors every year, mostly from Greece, but increasing also from the rest of Europe.
Yeah, in March, a pink veil unfolds across the plains of Greece's largest peach-producing region. The plain, which stretches for 170 square kilometers, or that's about 65 square miles, turns completely pink. The peach trees in the Varia region blossom roughly between mid-March and mid-April.
Yeah, pretty cool. Love just like looking at that. I could look at that for a little bit longer, right?
No, it's so nice.
Enjoy the pink.
Well, even like you could see there it was cloudy, but even when those trees are all pink, it's like, well, it doesn't matter if it's a crummy looking day.
Right.
It's still cool.
It's still colorful.
It's
so
full
nice.
of color. No,
yeah,
nice.
And we're starting to see a little bit more blooming around here in Columbus and across central Ohio with our recent warm stretch. Of course, the 80s back on Sunday. I've been seeing a little bit more green on some of the bushes out there, and even some of the trees have a few flowers on them.
Yeah, a little bit of that. And our magnolia actually has its flowers out. Of course, because we had the warmth followed by the freeze, some of those flowers didn't look too good. But overall, they're doing okay, I suppose. And we have that warmth still continuing tomorrow once again with that 76 for a high. That'll help fuel those areas of rain and thunderstorms, especially in the overnight hours. Now, yes, there'll be some rain tomorrow morning. That's not the severe stuff. It's the overnight hours that we could see some strong to severe storms rolling through the area. Hail and wind, the main severe threats, also watching that potential for some areas of locally heavy rain.
Yeah, I mean, we could be talking about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall in some spots. So, I mean, that's that's decent enough, especially for areas in northern Ohio where they're still seeing those drought conditions up around Toledo in northwestern Ohio. So, going to be watching that. And, of course, just kind of watching the forecast. I feel like we're making that, finally making that turn towards more warm temperatures than, looking at the 7-day forecast, we only have a couple days that are in the 40s, so we're making progress.
Exactly. We're at the time of the year that if it does get chilly, it only lasts a day or two and we're right back up again.
Yeah. So that'll do it for us here today on the 10 Weather Impact Show. Thanks to Justin for joining us here today, and you're going to be kind of taking the reins here tomorrow.
I will indeed. So solo show for me. So join us once again at 2 o'clock tomorrow and have all the latest on that severe weather threat and as well as other weather stories from around the area.
Yeah, plenty going on. And coming up later on this evening, Chief Meteorologist Chris Tomer will be in. He'll be tracking the latest on that severe weather as well, looking ahead at the 70s in our forecast here for tomorrow. And, of course, everything that's going to be happening as we head towards the weekend. So until then, as always, you can catch more news and weather online at 10tv.com.